Smudger stood alone and cold on a small section of track not 50 foot long. Alongside him on the quayside, men were removing the last few rails that once made up his home. He couldn't watch since he was all that was left. Everything else had been sold, and he once again thought he was abandoned, unloved, and unwanted. As the sun began to set, the men finally finished and walked away towards the famous Harwick Horse Inn for a scattering of pints for a job well done. Smudger, however, was still alone. The night was peaceful, and the only noise that plagued him was that of the inn. He didn't mind, however. That was the kind of noise that once came from the sheds, which now were no more, reduced to rubble, lost to time. He closed his eyes and remembered the good old days of fun, happiness, joy and friendship.
That's right, Adeline. He bucked and bounced so much we nicknamed him Bronco.
Smudger was back in the main shed, blushing as red as lipstick as the others joked about his previous escapades.
Oh, you think that was bad? Wait until you hear about the time he jammed himself under that bridge and got stuck.
Luke chortled loudly.
We had to dig out the rails to get him out.
Smudger saw a chance for a laugh at Luke's expense and piped up.
Well, since everyone's deciding to share stories, how about I tell them about that time you trapped yourself in a mine shaft?
Luke looked down and went as red as his buffer beam as all the others egged Smudger on.
Well, when I came back from my rebuild with my smaller cab and funnel, I was sent to work up at the old zinc mines, where I decided to play a little prank on Lukey there. Now you see, the old mine shafts were very small, and I couldn't fit in them.
Smudger? Smudger!
Smudger's eyes shot open in fright. His eyes darted from side to side, wondering where the noise had come from before settling on one of his old drivers standing in front of him.
Ah!
Screamed Smudger, startled from his sleep.
What are you doing here, Stan?
Stan chuckled at his old engine's fright.
Haven't you heard the news, old boy? You've been sold, old boy, to a mining company who needs an engine to make deliveries down their line. You'll be leaving today.
Smudger didn't look impressed at the news.
What's up, old boy?
Questioned his driver, patting his buffer beam.
I'm just gonna miss this place,
sighed the old engine mournfully, staring around at the location that was his home.
I know, old boy, but there's not much left here for you, and who knows, the new railway might be better.
Smudger murmured in agreement before settling down as Stan walked around him, preparing him for the long journey ahead. Before long, the ship had arrived, and Smudger was aboard and heading towards his new home. As the ship made its way out of the port and out to sea, it began to sway in the now rougher waters. This had the effect of causing Smudger to slowly drift off to sleep again, remembering his first day on the Harwick and Cregwir. The big green engine was lowered onto the quayside, where a smaller green engine awaited him, a face as light as the sun, with a big grin upon seeing the newcomer.
Hello there. Welcome to the Harwick and Cregwir tram railway. My name is Lou.
The small engine was cut off as the manager of the railway strolled past him and in front of the new engine, meeting his sulky gaze with a stern expression.
So you're Fletcher then?
The manager looked Smudger up and down before he spoke.
No, sir. It's Smudger,
he replied in a dulcet tone.
Well then, Smudger, you'll be steamed up. Then you can take those empty wagons to the zinc mines.
Yes, sir,
he replied sarcastically. This upset the manager even more, who stormed off in a huff, completely bypassing Lucius, who watched him pass before turning his attention back to Smudger, who was staring out at the sea. Without another word, Lucius rolled away to take some more trucks back up to the quarry, wondering how this new engine would settle in. Later that day, Lucius was again at the port, waiting for the line to be cleared before proceeding up with another load of trucks bound for the mines. He glanced at the clock. 1/4 past, 1/2 past, 1/4 to. He became more and more concerned until he saw a man sprinting up the line like a jackrabbit before stopping at Lucius's cab.
Smudger's stuck under Claggin Bridge. We need you to rescue him.
Right. Come on, Lucius. Let's go rescue him.
Smudger's fireman climbed aboard, still panting and struggling to keep his balance, as Lucius puffed up the line. Before long, he arrived at the site of the accident. Smudger was stuck under the bridge with his funnel broken off and his cap wedging him between the rails and the bridge. Smudger just seethed as Lucius coupled up to his train.
Don't worry, Smudger. We'll have you out soon.
Suddenly, Smudger was awoken by a loud horn signalling his arrival at the new port. It looked strange and new, vastly different to his old home. Soon he saw an engine arriving and decided to ask him where he was.
Best Helter Eier Armband aus Wurst?
Most of the workmen turned in surprise at this sudden language change. However, the little engine giggled. Before long, he was offloaded and had arrived at his destination. His flat wagon was placed in a siding next to the narrow gauge railway, where he saw many bright red engines scurrying around. About an hour later, Smudger was offloaded by a small black diesel.
Hello there, I'm Rusty, who are you? I'm, Smudger. I was told I was bound for the quarry. Don't worry, I'll take you there now.
And with a rattle and a roar, the little diesel roared into life and hauled Smudger up the line, exchanging stories along the way before finally arriving at a large slate quarry. Smudger was uncoupled, and Rusty bid his farewell before collecting some trucks and trundling home as the sun began to set. Smudger settled in and began to drift asleep when he heard a voice.
Hello, are you the new engine?
Smudger, slightly in shock, replied.
Yes, I'm Smudger. Who are you?
Wait, Smudger?
Smudger suddenly remembered the voice that was shouting from the upper terrace was once that belonged to his old friend.
Luke?
Yeah, it's me. I can't believe you're here. We have so much to talk about.
Luke trailed off as he heard snoring from below, and then realised that the happy Smudger had once again fallen asleep. He gave a slight chuckle, before soon succumbing to sleep himself, as he thought that in his new location he at least had a Cregwir companion to keep him company.